may not know everything about Canadians. I have the opportunity to travel across Canada, and from province to province, I tell you that the attitudes are completely different. Like Western Canada right now compared to Atlantic Canada, the mentality, the things they do, some of the wording is going to be very different, even within one country itself. So the better background you have in a particular country, chances are you can be more successful in importing. Now, importing means you're going to bring products into the country. Export means you're sending it out of the country. But if possible, try to deal in the country that you are already familiar with. Don't just pick a country out of the map by throwing a pin at it or something. Stick to one product line. Again, what we're saying is you can go visit these trade shows in that industry. You can subscribe to magazines in that trade show. And when you pick that product line, you got to stay with that one product line. Let's say we're selling restaurant products here. Next year we decide to go to sporting goods. It's like starting a brand new business every time. So once you choose this product line, stay with that one product line itself. Again, consider an industrial product, because in consumer products today, the margins are just so competitive. The big money today is still making industrial, business-to-business type of product. Start with market versus the product. Again, look at the market itself first, how much you can capture, and then how many products you can sell. Most people like to start with the product first and find out there is no market. And an example is like Canada. We've got 25 million people here. How many of these people will buy this particular product versus in the U.S. where they've got 250 million people? So a lot of times it's much easier to start with the market first. And remember your channel of marketing here. Now, I said earlier, depending where you participate in the distribution system, there's certain pricing that you need to understand. As a manufacturer, you can't expect 100% markup. Okay? Only a retailer can expect 100% markup. So again, in Lesson 14, we go through how to price your product itself, but how you participate in the distribution will represent. Normally, as a manufacturer, you're looking about 5% markup to selling to a wholesaler or a main importer itself. Usually the importer would sell it to a wholesaler, because what happens, the manufacturer may be selling in container loads. You can't expect 100% markup, because you're selling, if you make 10 cents on each item, you're making a fortune on it. Okay? You can't expect 30, 40 cents on each item at that stage. So the import itself will then be selling in case lots or carton lots itself. Okay? So he might be expecting 10 to 15%. But then from the main importer or wholesaler, he would sell it to a jobber or to a retailer, who would be expecting about 15 to 20%, because he might only be buying, say, a dozen lots. Okay? When the retailer himself, he's only selling one or two of these at a time. That's why he needs 1 to 200% markup. So it's very important to understand how you price and your margins that work into it. If you don't have enough margins in the product that you import, again, we're talking about doing this research. Here, everybody has to benefit in the distribution system. So even though you have this product, they may not be motivated to sell your product because you don't have the margins that everyone else is offering them when they get involved in the distribution system. Step number 4 here is giving your product or service all the protection you can. So this means if you're a vendor, if you're looking to get an exclusive right to a certain product, you have to look at some forms of protection here. So when we look at protection, there's 4 legal forms of protection that are available to you here, or at your disposal in Canada. First one here is a patent. Average cost is $2,500. This is an invention that you come up with on your own. Average cost is $2,500. Gives you about 17 years protection. And after 17 years, you lose that protection. Understand in certain industries like the pharmaceutical, they're pushing up to 20 years of protection. But what you may want to do if you want to go into manufacturing, look at some of the patents that are expiring right now or last week after 17 years. You can literally copy them exactly to the way it was filed. But at the same time, if you're an inventor, what you're looking to do is file for a patent. If you want a patent, what you need is a patent agent, someone who's actually registered in Ottawa. The stronger your patent is that is filed, the stronger you'll be able to enforce it. Don't check with your real estate lawyer, divorce lawyer, who took a little course in university on patents. You want a guy who has a lot of experience who's filed for a couple patents, because it really is only as strong as the guy who files for it. And it only takes about 15 to 20% deviation to get around a patent. So here we're manufacturing overheads with the switches here on the left side. We put it on the right side, chances are we can get around that patent if we want to copy or steal it. A trademark, the average cost is $1,500, gives you 15, 20 years protection. To read it, it's about $200. So again, if you register your business and you want to protect this name, what you need here is a trademark. Okay? But it only still limits you to that type style and to that color. Okay? Doesn't mean like McDonald's, no one else can use the name McDonald's. Only in that big M or in that clown, no one else can use. Okay? Copyright, and especially if you want to get into franchising here, because you want to license people to use this name itself, you definitely want a trademark. Copyrights, or same thing applies. If you come up with a great name for a product, like you said, the compact or something, you may want to register that trademark. Okay? Copyrights, that represents anything that is literary. So if you're an author, if you're a writer, if you're a musician, if you're a painter, if you don't want anybody copying your work here, what you want is a copyright. It gives you your life plus 50 years after you pass away. But more importantly, I guess, this is one of the fewer ones that are worthwhile. It costs only $50. But Canada also has an agreement with about 50 other countries through the Copyright Convention. So we automatically covered in 50 other countries. The last one here is industrial design. That one you may not have heard of. Let's say we're a manufacturer. Right now we make chairs that are angled at 60 degrees, but we find everybody gets a sore back. So what we're going to do is come up with industrial design to give a lower back support. Or we have a piece of machinery, and we find that by designing we can come up with a new application or a new process for this machinery. What you want here is called an industrial design. Again, you can check with a patent agent to do this for you, but the average cost is about $1,500, and it gives you about 15 to 20 years of protection. Now, again, I just want to emphasize, if anyone infringes on any of these types of protection, it's up to you to take these guys to court, and it can be very costly and very expensive, and you still haven't sold a product. So don't spend too much time on this protection process unless you're looking to license a manufacturer to make your product itself. You're in business to make money, and it would be very expensive going through this process. Meanwhile, this guy's copying your product, selling millions of these products, and you're so busy trying to bring them into court, and he lives in Taiwan. Practical forms of method, which you may want to consider here instead, is simply market patented. The whole idea here is keeping the honest people honest. But if thief wants to steal it, he's going to find ways to steal it. And I can assure you, there's entrepreneurs right now looking for trends. Generally, in this stage here, you have about 6 to 9 month lead time based on your research and finding out. But if it's a hot-selling product when you bring it into the marketplace, you can be sure by Wednesday of next week, they'll be pumping it out of China. Okay? So here you may want to just market patent. The costs, there's no one out there policing it, but even the cost of the fine is probably cheaper than it was to be filed for a patent anyways. You may want to create your own competition. Again, when you do your research, you'll find there's a certain need for, one of the rules we say is finding a need and filling it. So say we decided to sell these water glasses, because we know it has to hold liquids and everybody drinks liquids here. And there's also different prices that people will pay for a glass. So some people might pay $200 for a crystal glass. Some people might pay 20 cents for what we call a sand glass. Some people might only pay 5 cents for a plastic or a wooden glass. So understanding that people want the same benefit, but they're only prepared to pay certain prices for it. So what you want to do here is fill in your own market and create your own competition. Similar to like Lever Brothers or Procter & Gamble, who makes all these cleaning products. But say the laundry detergent, they do Cheers, they do they do what else? No-name brands. Regardless of what brand you actually buy, the profits still end up in the same pocket. So you want, once you identify a market itself, you may want to take advantage of the strategy and create your own competition. Because you can be sure enough, it's a hot-selling product. If you start in the East Coast, the copycats are going to start in the West Coast here. Okay, so here you want, but most, and probably the best protection you get is what we call rapid distribution. It's just getting it out into the marketplace. Don't get too hung up on this protection process itself. Again, because you want to move on to the next venture, you don't want to spend too much. You can easily spend $30,000, $40,000 on a patent and find out that no one's interested in buying your product at that stage. Step number 5 here is advertising and promoting your product or service. So here, like I said, when you're going through this protection process, it's really costly, you're really protective that you're afraid someone's going to steal your idea here. Now it actually comes full circle. You can't tell enough people about your product and service. So in terms of advertising, again, you should spend your time and learn as much as you can on advertising and marketing. In advertising, the blueprint, lesson 14, we go through every one of these mediums. Because certain types of these advertising work better for certain businesses. But more importantly, you need to know how much they cost, because it's very expensive advertising. So the first thing you want is a directory called Canadian Advertising Rates and Data. The equivalent in the U.S. is called advertising rates and data. Usually it's about 6 times the thickness of this one here. This one's about $300 to subscribe to, but it lists all the advertising mediums that we're showing you here. So you have newspapers that come in dailies and weeklies. We have magazines that come in consumer and trade. So these are the trade magazines. Consumer ones are like your Playboy, your Good Housekeeping, what have you. We have radio, we have TV, outdoor advertising, direct mail, directories, transit, co-op, point of purchase. The miscellaneous one here could aerial advertising, airport advertising, stadium advertising, washroom advertising, elevator advertising. So you can see there's a lot you need to know about advertising, but the cost is very expensive. To give an example of something like a daily newspaper in Toronto Star, for a 3-inch by 1-inch ad there, you're looking at about $800 to $900. That's one day, one time. If you average 7 days a week, that's $5,000. Okay, so you can blow your money very quickly, especially if it's in the general news. And if I'm watching following Maple Leafs, I go straight to the sporting section. I didn't even see your ad. Okay, something like a 30-second spot on the radio on CHFI. It's well, $350. Again, that's during what we call a drive time, during rush hour traffic time. But again, if I'm sleeping in, that's $350 that just went down the drain. So you really need to know how to spend your money. No matter how big you are or how small you are, you're always limited to a budget, how much you can afford in advertising. Procter & Gamble spends $1 billion in advertising. They can't afford to spend $2 billion. So what you have to do is still budget yourself accordingly. So let's say as a small business, we're going to spend $12,000 in advertising, and we're going to spend, for sake of argument, $1,000 a month. Rather than taking a back-page ad in something like this here and spending $1,000 and blowing our budget, understand in advertising it takes anywhere from 8 to 12 times before anyone even knows that you exist. Okay, so you have to break your budget down each month. So you may want to start off with, say, a newspaper ad and start off with a small classified. But at least you can advertise every day. So eventually they're going to come across your ad and see your name, and eventually they may inquire. Because what we want to do is work out is our cost per inquiry. We might want to just initiate them to call us to find out what it is that we're about or what we're doing here. But it takes 8 to 12 times before anyone even knows that you exist. As much as you're convinced, because you took out the back page of this ad here, everybody in your industry knows about you, believe me, everybody's busy and they haven't got time and they still don't know who you are. So again, advertising can be very expensive. But the last one here is don't forget about trying a media release. What you want to do is take advantage of free advertising first before you have to pay for some of this stuff. Again, in Blueprints lesson 14, what we do is show you how to do up a media release. And all those lessons what we do is give you working examples. But in doing up your media release here, normally try to limit it to one page. Double space it, but they really should answer who, what, where, when, why, and how. If possible, include a sample or at least a photograph. Because depending on, say, a newspaper ad, if they did sell off all their advertising for the day, they may even put the picture in it. Again, depending on how much space is limited, they may have to edit it, so that's why you want to double space it. But the tip there, what you want to do really is pick one main benefit of the product or service yourself. Don't go into the whole history and all the major features of your product itself. They don't have the time to pick that up. What you want to take is one main benefit and then explain it in 3 different ways. Okay, so just limit to one main focus of your product or service and show you how powerful, I guess, free advertising is. If you follow the Blue Jays in the fall there, they figured for all the advertising publicity that they got, if they had to pay for it, it would be over $300 million. Okay, so it's powerful. Again, take advantage of the free advertising first because the paid stuff, it could be very costly. Step number 6 here is marketing your product or service in as many ways as you can. Again, I just want to emphasize in the blueprints in lesson 22, what we show you is 90 different ways to sell a product and service, and nowhere else are you going to find these type of strategies. If you look at where you're working right now, chances are they're only selling 1 or 2 ways. Okay, and that's what we see during this recession. The employer doesn't know how to sell his product because this is how his sold the product before. But what you have to be understanding that, again, advancements in technology, you have to find other ways to sell your product to the marketplace. Because right now, if you start your own business, whatever business you're getting involved with, there's going to be competition. So generally, if you're the new guy in the block, you can't compete on the same turf. Say we're manufacturing soft drinks. Coke and Pepsi, no one can sing and dance better than Coke and Pepsi. So you're going to have to find another way to bring your soft drinks to the marketplace. Maybe vending. Maybe you're going to call on offices and businesses because that's too small for Coke and Pepsi to call on. You may want to sell it through what we call multi-level party planning. But you have to find some other ways to bring the same product to the marketplace. But generally you can't compete on the same turf starting out because they've really pretty much tied that up. But some other ways to sell your product is selling in the U.S., selling through distributor, selling through trade shows. That's probably one of the most powerful ways that I know of. In the last 6 years, that's how I've made my living in selling trade shows. In 3 or 4 days, I can make just as much as what probably some of you make in a month or a year. You can sign up in 3 or 4 days anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000 in business than if you were to use your conventional way of selling products where you're, say, calling on each business and you can only see 2 or 3 people a day, or you're selling through a direct mail. Through a trade show, you can sign up, and I mean, these are department store buyers who are buying on behalf of 300 stores. Okay? So again, don't overlook at some of the trade shows. I'm not even saying just the ones in Canada, but you can go city to city or country to country doing this. And it takes 6 shows a year, but you can make a fortune just selling through trade shows. You can also make money selling through retail shows. These are like your fall home shows, where it's a 10-day span. 300,000 people go through there. You won't be able to see 300,000 if you call on a day-to-day. So don't overlook at some of your products through trade shows. Again, the main directory is the Canadian Shows and Exhibitions. Selling through manufacturer's representatives. So this means if you're an importer, what you may want to do is have a manufacturer represent your product. Selling through locators. Again, these are independent salespeople. These guys are really hard to find, but these are what they do is call on different businesses. It could be a variety store, it could be a grocery store, it could be a computer store, but they call on every one of these computer stores in a certain geographic area. So if you're importing these products, what you're looking for is a locator added to this product line. Just like you go to your pharmacy, the pharmacy rep, he always has new drugs coming on the market, and he just introduces it to the pharmacist. Selling through direct mail or mail order, through mail order catalog houses. Mail order, there's about 3,000 different catalogs out in the marketplace there. Again, we have a director at the Institute